You gotta decide if you actually want to do this. So like, I mean, it's okay if you don't want to be a day trader, but if you decide you want to be a day trader, like actually take it seriously. Put the correct work in. Don't just throw money around. I went to an Ivy League school for 2.5 years, so like I have a lot of student debt, and like how am I gonna pay that back?
How much would someone have to pay you to like never trade again? Tim, if you don't mind, like in around like 60 seconds maybe, just give like a brief of who you are, what you trade.
So I'm Tim. I trade supply and demand, mostly forex pairs. I've been trading for about 5 years now. I feel like at first I didn't take this seriously, but recently I've been thinking like the only thing stopping me from actually achieving my goals is just the amount of effort I've been putting in. So lately I've just been doing things to push myself, and I think lately I'm at a good place now. I used to trade like every pair in existence, but I was thinking if I want to do back testing, maybe I should only test like a certain two pairs, for example, and only trade those two pairs
Right.
because I can get a lot more specific results in my back testing.
So you said that it's been going a little bit better for you recently. Was there
Yeah.
something that you did that got you to that point, or is it just a matter of like getting so much
I mean,
experience?
I'd say it was a bunch of things combined. I know, like about a year ago, I got this journal and I started writing it every day just to log my progress. And I also wanted to do like an hour of daily learning, but I had to actually write down that I did that hour of daily learning every day, and that like kind of held me accountable. And also like just writing in that journal every day just kind of helped me actually see the small progress that I was making. And also I started doing like a lot of back testing because honestly, I just kind of kept saying, "Oh, I need to back test, but it's not that important," and I just kept just minimizing backtesting. But then I really sat down and I was doing like 20 hours, 30 hours of backtesting and like one test and like combining all that data. And like I started from that, I started getting some serious confidence in my strategy because I know over a set of data that it would work out. And also too, it's just it's just better for the trader to look at.
Yeah,
Like you have confidence in your strategy.
that's funny. That's something I went through also, is like there's a difference between saying that you're gonna put in work, that you want to put in work, or that sometimes you might even think you're putting in work. But once you actually start to like track, okay, how many hours am I spending on this? You realize like, oh wait, like I'm not actually putting in enough work, or like maybe I need to do more. Um, so I started like a while ago. Like I would put sticky notes in my bathroom mirror so I'd see it every day. I'd put like the hours I spent every day. Now I do it on my phone because it's a lot easier. Um, and I think it helps just to see like keep you accountable, and also just to like kind of motivate you also to like want to see a higher number every day and every week and month. Um, do you?
Yeah, you also get more familiar too with all that back testing because you kind of understand how your pair works.
Yeah, yeah, but that's another point I want to touch on, is the back testing and confidence, because like I back test a lot, and the the main reason I do that is because, well, the main reason anyone back tests is because they want to see if they actually have an edge, right? Um, and until you do it like, if you do it like hundreds of times in back testing, then you pretty much, it tells you like, okay, this is gonna work overall, like in the long term. And until you do that, like you don't really know. And I feel like a lot of people kind of skip that step because they don't think it's important, or like, oh, like it's not live. Like I don't want to waste time on stuff that's not live. I think I commented in one of TGR's old videos before he was like, he had so many followers, so he would actually reply to more people. And he said he doesn't backtest either. So like, I mean,
Yeah, I watched one of his videos and he was talking about the way he does back testing is he won't use the replay tool on TradingView. He would just like scroll back and look so he can see all the data, and he's like, "Oh, I would have entered here." But I mean, for me personally, I feel like that wouldn't work because I can't think in hindsight. I can't say, "Oh, I would have done that," because like watching those candles actually form and saying I would have entered there are two separate things.
yeah. Do you follow Tom Hugard, or know who that is?
I actually don't.
Oh, okay. He's in Denmark, I think. He's a trader. He's like consistently profitable. He does it for free, kind of like ICT. He does it in Telegram pretty much every day. But one thing he talks about is like hindsight trading, and like there's a difference between seeing the chart all like completed. Like if you were to just open a chart right now, you'd see it all, right? And if you were to like cover up half of it with a paper or like with the market replay, whatever it is, it's different seeing the whole thing completed versus covering it up, because then your mind's going to be like, oh yeah, I definitely would have bought there and then sold here. Whereas if that stuff's hidden, you like your mind doesn't see that anymore. So you're like, oh, now you actually have to think, would I buy here? Would I sell here? And that like makes a big difference.
Yeah, one reason that's hard for like a supply and demand trader like me is because I'll mark out all these zones and I can't say, oh yeah, I would have chose that zone if I can already see which one works. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. What do you think is like the most important aspect of trading, or what has like changed your trading the most? Is it back testing, or is it something else?
I would say it's honestly a combination of backtesting and taking psychology seriously. Because another thing, like I said, I was just putting backtesting to the side. Psychology was another thing I was just putting to the side. Because like sometimes I'd lose on a position, and even though I know I shouldn't be doing it, I might like double down on my next position, or I might enter a setup that doesn't meet all the criteria I have in my trading plan. And like I know I shouldn't be doing these things, but it still wasn't. It was still happening, and I wasn't properly addressing it without addressing my psychology.
Do you have any recommendations for psychology, like specifically like what someone can do?
Yeah, obviously, I'm sure everyone's heard "Trading in the Zone" by Mark Douglas. I mean, that helps everyone.
Yeah.
But one thing you can do that'll help you though, besides that, is just write down when you're journaling your trades. Like, keep track of your trades, how you're performing, but don't only track that. Track your emotions, and you could put how you felt before and after the trade. So, like, were you scared to enter that trade? During the trade, were you about to like exit that trade because you couldn't take it anymore? Because there actually have been times where I know this sounds so stupid, but I've been like, you know what? I can't take being in this trade anymore. I'll just close it so I can mentally just walk away and be okay and be done.
Yeah. There's once you're in a trade, it's like everyone knows you're in a different like mindset. And as soon as you exit the trade, it's like you get all the clarity back usually. Um, do you know who Brett Steenbarger is? He's another trading like psychologist, if that's even a term.
I actually don't know who that is.
Oh, he Brett Steenbarger and Mark Douglas are like my two favorites pretty much. I think they're the biggest, also like the most popular. But he also has a book, and he talks a lot about basically what you just said, and tracking your emotions like in a journal. He gives like a lot of exercises like that, like even just to become aware of your emotions, do it just on a daily basis, like for a day. So like in your phone or like on a notepad, whatever you want to do, going throughout your day, note how like uh, you're walking down the street and something just for some reason bothers you or triggers you, and just like note that and be like, oh, okay, that happened. Or you're driving in traffic. Obviously, you can't do it when you're driving, but like if that gets you mad, or a lot of people I don't think are aware of the emotions to begin with, um, which like I think it also goes with a lot of traders, especially on TikTok, are young. So it's just like, as you get older and mature, like you kind of build some of those things. Um, yeah,
Yeah, because your emotions can really be affecting your trading. Like at first, I just kind of didn't think about it too much, but like because I was feeling something, I would enter trades that weren't good, like a lot. And another reason too, it helped me that I was writing it down too. Remember, I said I was making the same mistakes over and over again.
yeah,
It was annoying to me to like, let's say I over leveraged 3 days in a row, and I had to actually go and write it down that I made a mistake. I don't want to write it down a fourth day in a row, like, and feel even worse about myself. That makes sense.
yeah. That's a like that's a big reason I like post content, is like I kind of treat it as my journal. I know a lot of other people do as well. But just to kind of like put it out there that like, oh, this might be uncomfortable, this might be kind of embarrassing, but like, hey, I made this mistake or I took another loss, and I it's not I'm not gonna avoid doing it just because it's like, it's uncomfortable. I don't want to admit that I'm still not where I want to be, or like I'm not doing things perfectly, but it's just like it's all just part of the process. I want to talk a little bit more about
Yeah.
the content actually, because I was going through your TikTok and I didn't notice at first. But you're almost you're at pretty much 20K followers, which to me is like pretty impressive. And that's actually my goal. Like I made a goal for this year to reach 20K. Um, I don't know. Do you want to talk about that? Why you make content? What are your goals with that?
Yeah, sure. So I mean, I guess the reason I started posting content was I just wanted to, I guess, hold myself accountable to actually being a day trader. Because remember I said at the beginning of this year I promised to myself to kind of go all in.
Yeah,
I felt if I started posting videos too, it would kind of force me to like it'd make it harder for me to give up on this. Not like I was thinking that I would, but I'm more even immersing myself even further into like this life of day trading. And I also thought too, like I have been doing this for a long time, and I feel like I fully understand these things, but I'm just not correctly applying them. So I thought one way to better like my education for myself would be once you start teaching things, you kind of like learn it better for yourself. So I thought once I start explaining these things, maybe it'll force me to learn it even better.
yeah,
But
that's
yeah,
funny.
and honestly, at first, I didn't have too many goals. Like, I wasn't thinking about like getting all these followers. I just kind of was like, oh, maybe I'll post it at once every day, and I'll just prove to myself that I can do that consistently. And then I had one video that got like a 500,000 views,
Yeah, I saw that.
and then I just kind of kept with it.
hmm Um, yeah,
Yeah, that was one of the promises I made to myself. Like in that video, that was I promised that I will not get into a relationship until I can like quit my day job to day trade full time.
oh, okay. I think we're talking about a different video. I saw the order block video that got like almost 500,000, I
Oh, the
think.
order block.
You got another one that got 500,000?
Yeah, it was like one saying like with some girls like all you do is talk about money, and
Oh
I'm
yeah,
like I have like
yeah,
my
yeah,
phone and I
yeah,
just put it
yeah. I
down on the
saw that.
table.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, that's we have a very similar mindset on the content. And like I also want to say good job being consistent with it because I know like it's hard to do it daily. And like I scroll through your thing and it's like you're doing it daily for a long time. Um, a lot of people,
Oh yeah,
a lot of people like,
and that's one of the reasons I respect you too, because like you posted something about this, but you were like I looked through your TikTok, you post every day too. Like I respect that.
yeah. Thanks, man. That's the word I was looking for. I respect it. Not good job, although good job as well. Um, but what do you think about making content for traders that are like still trying to make it? Do you think that's a good idea? Do you think they should focus on just trading for now? Or do you think it could benefit them, like you said, by like teaching others and like exposing themselves kind of their weaknesses? What do you think?
That's a good question. I feel like it depends on the person, honestly. Because I feel like for some people it might help, but for some people it might make you even more confused. Because one thing that bothers me a little bit is if I were to start talking about like my exact progress, for example, I feel like that would put more pressure on my trading. Like let's say I'm like, oh, I just passed this funded account, for example, and then now I lose it. I'm gonna feel like an idiot coming to my followers and say, I've lost this account, guys.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because I like even I've been trading for 6 years now, and like even I do still feel a little bit like I'm looking at the market and I'm like thinking, man, it'd be nice if I got a huge win right now, and then I could post it, or like I don't know if you get this feeling, but like you get a winner and you just have an urge to like, oh man, I want to show this to everyone. I want to like record this and like make a cool video about it, or like because I think it's because we attach.
Yeah, I just want to take the screenshot and be like,
Yeah,
this is how I made $5,000 on GJ today using supply and demand. Or like,
and that's like like I don't hate on people that do that because like I think most people have good intentions when they like post stuff or make content. Well, that's like the kind of easy side of making content. Whereas, where like they're only showing the winners, they're not showing any of the losers. They're not showing the process, the struggles, the like journey, um, or they just don't even talk anything about their risk management or psychology or their strategy. They're just like, here's my screenshot, and it's like, okay, uh, but yeah, what I was saying is that I do sometimes feel the urge to do that, and like so it's crazy how like you our emotions like they don't I don't think they ever go away, and I don't think you're ever immune to those emotions. Like no matter how much experience you have. I mean, I know I've been trading 6 years. There's traders out there that have been doing it 10 years, 20 years for longer than I've been alive. Um, so I'm sure like once you get to that point, it gets less and less hard. Uh, but it's crazy. I don't know what. Do you think the emotions get easier over time, or was it just like
I mean, for me, it's gotten easier, but it's not like it's gone away though. And like, I feel like I've seen some traders too that like, let's say they'll post like their $100,000 wins or $100,000 days,
yeah?
and they'll say like it only gets easier, like the psychology and the drawdown, but it doesn't go away. You still got to deal with it.
That's a good point. Yeah. Um,
But I mean, yeah, it's really hard. I know in theory it sounds so easy. Like I've back tested my plan. I know if I keep placing these exact trades over time, I'll make money. All I do is follow what I did in this set of data. But it's not that easy just applying it to like live data.
what do you think is most important? To me, I say that there's like three, I guess you could say pillars, the three pillars of like successful trading, trading psychology, risk management, and like your trading strategy or your edge. Which one of those three would you say is like most important to being successful if you had to pick one?
I mean, I guess I'd say edge. Edge would be number one. But I mean, psychology is a pretty close number two, though, because I feel like you could have an edge, but I've traded with an edge and lost money. Like I've lost money on winning trades before, where I'll enter too early, get stopped out,
Yeah,
and then I won't enter, and then I'll enter too late and I'll get stopped out or something.
yeah. Okay, so edge number one, and the way you find that is by back testing, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. And honestly, I know this might sound stupid, but I really don't think that the specific strategy you choose is as important as like a lot of people believe. Because if you do a bunch of back testing and you find a way to make that strategy work, I believe there's a way to make every strategy work. Because like do you know who Tori Trades is, for example?
Yeah, I do.
Like I don't know how she makes money, but she trades like trend lines and like all these weird things. I'm like, what are you doing? But I mean, it works for her though.
Yeah,
Like
no. There's
if it works for you, good for you.
there's literally so many people out there that are still, or not still, but like they're using retail concepts and like they claim to make money, and I don't. Again, I'm not someone who uh, thinks everyone's fake and lying. So like, I think most of them are, being truthful about it. So I think I agree with you. Like anything can work, but it's just like for me personally, it gets to a point where it's like there's so many strategies to pick from, and so many people telling you different things. Oh, focus on one strategy. Oh, don't do this one, do that one. Oh, it's okay to do multiple. Do this one for this market, this one for this market. Um, it's just like it gets overwhelming, and then you kind of have to decide for yourself what you want to do. Um, yeah, I don't know if that made sense or not.
Yeah, one of the reasons I switched to one strategy too was I was thinking like if I have all these different strategies with different win rates, why wouldn't I just switch to one strategy that has the highest win rate? Why would I mess up all my data? And how can I improve on my data if I have all these different strategies I'm using?
hmm I've always, um, I've always been someone who just does like one or two strategies. I because I don't like if I were the way I backtest is like it takes a while. It takes a while for me to do it. Like I go through each trade. I take screenshots. I have to look at what's the open price, what's the close price. You know, I'm manually typing all this stuff in. So like, if I were to do that for multiple strategies, I wouldn't be able to. So like, it's kind of almost a like a time aspect thing for me also. Like I wouldn't be able to trade multiple strategies if I wanted to. I could, but I just wouldn't know if it has an edge. And at that point, there's no point to be trading because you don't know if it's gonna work over time or not. How
Yeah, and I used to switch strategies a lot too a while ago.
that was literally my first 2 years of trading. Um,
Yeah.
I started with penny stocks. I don't really talk about my story a lot actually, but like I started with penny stocks. Like I saw a video. Do you know who Tim Sykes is?
I actually don't.
Oh, he's a he's kind of like an influencer at this point. He has like 1 million followers on not Facebook, Instagram. He does penny
Oh, really?
stocks, and which you know is kind of sketchy. On top of like being in day trading, penny stocks is like the
Yeah.
sketchiest niche within the already sketchy day trading niche.
Yeah.
So he gets a lot of hate for it, but essentially the penny stocks they're just like very low cap stocks that can move.
Yeah, I used to trade them.
Okay, yeah. They'll have like 100%, up to like 1,000, 2,000% in a day sometimes moves. And I was just always he has thousands of videos. He has a bunch of different educators. I would just be watching all of them, trying to apply like, oh, buy, sell, buy, sell. Oh, I think I see this. Let me try that. Buy, sell. Just like consistently losing. Because it, I don't know if you've noticed, but like in like 2017, 2018, people talking about like risk management and psychology, like at least from what I've seen, like that wasn't really out there. There were like those books.
Oh yeah, I don't remember it.
Yeah, like and then once I discovered those things, I was like, I have to have a plan and like risk management and like there's a way to like be able to control your emotions. I was like, holy crap. And that like almost immediately it took me from consistently losing to break even or like, you know, a little bit less losing. So I was just like each trade was just like literally I was just randomly emotional trading. And now there was some sort of structure to it. Um, which that was probably like the thing that made the biggest impact on my trading, having some sort of plan and realizing that like risk management and psychology matter. I don't know if have you had a
Yeah, I remember I used to not take trading plans.
you used to what?
I used to not take like trading plans
Oh,
seriously either.
yeah, yeah.
No, I used to not take them seriously. I remember like the first time I saw some guy being like, "Oh, risk no more than 2% per trade." I was like, "How am I supposed to make money like that? What's this guy talking about?"
That's a
But I mean, now I do it every day.
I think it's a reason why people don't want to demo trade. Like, what is the point? What's the point of trading if I'm not able to make like $100, $1,000 on this trade? Like they just everyone's so like quick. They have such a short term mindset. They're like, if I can't make money on this in a week, a month, what's the point? And I'm here 6 years into it, taking like 20 steps back and like demo trading for the past like 2 months now. So yeah, I think it's important. How much time do you
Yeah, I agree.
how much time do you spend on trading, like per week, per day?
I typically trade for like 3 hours in the morning.
Okay,
That's about it. I mean, that's not counting like backtesting though. That would be like just in front of the charts
yeah. What about
trading.
like all together with back testing? If you know how much you spend.
I mean, it really does depend on the day, but I guess I feel like honestly, I'll backtest like twice a week for like an hour, I guess. And on the weekends, I might do it for like an hour or two.
Okay.
That's what I do currently. I used to do like 30 minutes of backtesting a day though for a while.
hmm and what do you do outside of trading? Do you have? I know you said you're like you're trying to be focused. I mean, I'm. You said you have a job. Obviously, most people have jobs. Do you have any sort of like other hobbies other than trading or things you do for fun, or is it mostly just work, like gym,
Honestly,
trading?
yeah. Unfortunately, right now I feel like it's mostly just work and gym.
Yeah,
Because I mean, all I do is I'll just trade, and then once I come home from work, I'm focused more on trading. Because I know this might sound like stupid, but the way I see it is I have nothing to celebrate right now, and I'll be able to enjoy my life even better once I actually accomplish these things. And I also feel guilty too if I go out and I'm like, I know this doesn't make sense, but sometimes recently I've been feeling this a lot when I spend time with my friends. I'm like, we're just sitting here like hanging out. Like, what am I celebrating though? Like, what am I like? I haven't earned this. Like,
yeah,
I feel like I should be happy when I earn something, and I'm not. I haven't earned it yet.
yeah. No, I think that's there's a part of that that I agree with a lot, and that's like, it's true. Like if you are gonna spend a bunch of time every weekend and not like put in work when you're not really where you're at, like are you gonna spend the whole weekend just watching movies and doing nothing if you're not where you want to be yet? If you haven't done the things you said you wanted to do, then that doesn't make sense. But like at the same time, like something I've realized is like you also have to like your life's not just meant to be grind and like constant self-improvement and constant like how can I be successful? How can I make money? How can I do this? And that's something I try to remind myself every day, just to be like grateful, and to also just to like have fun and like relax because like for so long I was only focused on the money, and that didn't really get me anywhere. And a couple years ago, I realized that, and I was like, okay, like might as well enjoy my life and do things I want to do. Um, but I do agree with like part of what you said, but I also think like there has to be room for some like healthy like you do deserve to have fun. You do deserve to like spend time with family and friends. And that's not. I don't think it's going to like take away from you being successful or your potential. If anything, I think it's going to add to it because like you have like trading success here, you have like relationships and you have health. If you're putting like most of your energy into just trading and success, then like relationships is getting nothing, health is getting nothing. And like those other two things are like very important still to having like a well balanced life, I think. Um, or at least according to what I've heard other successful people say, like Tony Robbins, and other podcasters.
Yeah, I do agree though. I mean, if like let's say you don't have any of those things in your life, it might be affecting you, and it might be affecting your trading because it'll just be on your mind that what I mean, you haven't seen friends in 7 months, for example.
Right. But I do agree with that video you posted about like I'm not gonna have a girlfriend until I'm like successful, which that's kind of my mindset. I I mean it would be nice to have a girlfriend, but I haven't actively looked for one in a while. Because like I want to be in a place where I'm at like uh I've reached a lot of my goals and like I'm financially stable. Maybe not like financially free, rich, and like have a mansion and like a bunch of nice cars, but like I don't want to be wondering like, is this going to work or where am I going to make money from? You know, I want to have those things figured out and then bring someone in that can like improve it even more rather than like I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
No, I know exactly what you're saying too, and like I feel like too, if let's say I had someone now, like I'm trying to get my money up right now, and like girlfriends are just expensive. You know what I mean? Like I gotta take you out on a date, I gotta buy you a
Yeah.
gift, and potentially you could just start arguing with me over something stupid the next morning. Like you should have said bye to me last night. You didn't mean it, or something stupid, and then now I can't trade. Cause I can't think straight when I'm
Now you
trading.
can't
'Cause I
trade
got this
because
stupid
all you're
stuff in my
thinking
mind.
about is how you messed up. Yeah. No, like
Yeah.
I don't know. Have you had like girlfriends before or bad breakups? Okay.
Yeah, I've had two long-term relationships.
Yeah. So you know then the some of the happiest times in life I think come from like relationships, whether it's like girlfriend or family, friends. But some of the worst times in life also come from those relationships, like whether it's a fight or breakups. Like literally the worst, my worst like period in life was my first long-term ex when we broke up. I was like, it was bad for like months.
That was one of my greatest like motivators too, because when the second one like left me,
Yeah.
I just kind of was sitting there like, I don't know, like it just gives you a different type of motivation that I feel like nothing else can give you to just prove yourself.
Hmm. Yeah. Um, so I want to get back in a little bit more on like the reason why I made this uh, podcast. Like, it's kind of for like everyday traders, right? So for traders that are listening that are like, because around 90% fail, right? Or they're not making money, or they give up. What do you think? Why do you think you've been trading for so long? Why do you think you haven't given up after 5 years? Um, yeah.
I mean, yeah, I guess I know exactly why I haven't given up. I mean, I started when I was 18, and I guess like since then, this is the only thing like it's felt like really right to me. And I feel like the more I do it, it just feels more and more right. And I dropped out of like a nice like college too, and like I have a lot of student debt, and I feel like trading is like the best way for me to like repay my student debts and like live like the life that I want to live because I feel like I'm deserving of like a nice life where I acquire a lot of money. So,
Okay. Yeah, we haven't touched on that yet. On that yet. Your school, your experience at school. If you want to talk a little bit more on that. I mean, I went to school, and I also dropped out because I mean I went to school for mechanical engineering. I enjoyed it. I still like science and math, and like I think it has a lot of potential. It's like important for the future. Tesla and all that stuff. But I don't know, something about it. I wanted to have something that gave me more freedom. Um, what are your thoughts?
yeah, I don't know. Like, I know this might sound like arrogant of me to say, but like one part of me like being determined to be a day trader is like I just feel like I'm better than just having to work for someone else. Like I feel like I'm smart enough to where I can find a way to just not work for someone else and really enjoy my life. And if I'm actually capable of doing that, like it's my duty to myself to like achieve my full potential. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's funny. We have a lot. We have.
And yeah, also when I was going to college, I'm sorry, what were you saying?
I was just gonna say we have a similar mindset on a lot of things.
Yeah, but when I was going to college too, originally I was going for cybersecurity,
Uh-huh.
and then because I've been a computer nerd my whole life, like I was used to build computers and I wanted to learn about programming. But I mean, once I started going, just I learned about programming and I was like, this is not for me. This stuff's so confusing, makes no sense to me. And I actually did switch to finance, but I mean, because I love day trading and I was actually skipping my classes to day trade, so like but I mean, the finance classes aren't just correlating with day trading. I'm learning like balance sheets, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like spreadsheets, like income statements. And I'm like, this is like, I wanted to make money in the stock market. I want to see candlesticks, you know what I mean?
yeah,
So, yeah, and I just dropped out. And it's not like anyone supported me in that. Like, it's not like your parents are going to be like, oh, yeah, you should drop out of this nice school you're going to. Like, it's not like my friends are going to tell me, yeah, you should do that. Like, and at the time, it's not even like I was seeing that much success in my trading.
yeah,
I just knew if I dropped out, I could make it work. Either like drop shipping, copywriting, some form of online income. And I just chose day trading because it worked out the best and made the most sense to me.
okay, yeah. Um, I mean, I kind of have a similar story where I was going to school and I was like, okay, I think I want something that gives me freedom. I don't want to put in all this work, pay all this money for something that potentially gives me a job that like gives me financial freedom, but not freedom and like my time. And it's also not freedom. Like, I'm spending time building someone else's company up, which is okay if I uh, love that company and I agree with its like values and its beliefs. But who knows if I'm gonna get a job like that I love? Obviously, I am in control of like what job I apply for, but sometimes you don't really. If you need to make money, like you have to pick a job. Um, so that a lot of that just didn't make sense to me. Um, so I decided to like drop out to spend more time on trading, and I always just had the belief. I was like, okay, like if I drop out, just give it like a year, like I'll make it. And then like it didn't work, and I was like, okay, this is my year, and then it didn't work, and then now I'm just uh, like the past year, maybe year and a half, I like realized I'm like way too focused on the money. Um, so I'm just focused on the process now. Like I enjoy trading. I It gives me like fulfillment because it's challenging and like I'm always learning. I get a lot of personal growth from trading as well because like it's hard. You have to overcome challenges. And until those two things like change, I'm not gonna stop. So I think it's like pretty much a guarantee that I'm gonna be successful in trading as long as I don't give up. And I'm not like rushing it at this point. I'm not saying like this is my year. Although like I do like I'm ambitious, I have goals, like I push myself. I'm not gonna say, hey, this year I'm gonna make 100K. This year, this month I'm making 10K. Just whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, it's a great way to think. I always think like I'll set this goal, but I always say like if I don't achieve it, like it's okay. It's just a matter of time before I achieve it. Like it'll come in time. It's just I didn't meet my deadline.
hmm Yeah, that's a healthy mindset, I think. So you started trading because you were going to school and it didn't really align with what you wanted in life. And like, what kept you going for 5 years? Because that's a long time. Most traders give up after like a year, or they give up or they fail, like they lose their money.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, honestly, in the middle, I did kind of like step away for I'll say around a year,
hmm
at one point in the middle of that. But I guess the only thing that kept me going was, I mean, I knew like just the potential. Like I remember when I first learned about options, I was like, oh my god, like you can put in this amount of money and you can make this amount of money. Like this is insane to me. And I remember too, there was one day I put $800 into this option contract and I ended up selling it for $8,000 like 2 days later. And like I still think about that moment. Like I feel like that kind of almost got me addicted to
Yeah,
trading.
yeah,
Like once I knew that was possible, I was like, people can actually do this. Like this money's in my bank account right now. Like I have to stick to this.
yeah. I think that's a lot of the reason I think a lot of traders just continue because they did make money at some point, or they did have like a period where they were successful. So they're like this is possible. Well, I'm not gonna give up. Like they see that it's, they can actually do it. They just need to do it for a consistent period. Um, yeah,
That's the hard part.
yeah. That's a lot of traders. I think like Mark Douglas talks about this too. I think he does in his book. He says like until you're profitable for like a year, like you're not like truly profitable. Maybe it was Market Wizards. He talked about that. Um, because like markets are constantly changing. Um, so until you have like that amount of consistency, like you know, I've had a period where I was profitable for like 2 or 3 months, and in the time like it felt great, and I was like, man, I made it, and then like you know it it stopped working. Yeah, I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that? Like
Yeah,
when
I had something like that happen to me once too.
where you were successful for a little bit, and then you're like, why? It went away.
Yeah, it just stopped working.
Yeah, it's tough.
I think in my case though, it mostly happened because of my psychology.
That it stopped working.
Yeah, I think that I stopped working because of my psychology, in my case at least, because I feel like I was so obsessed with just becoming profitable, and I'm like, oh my god, I made it, and now I just think I'm the greatest trader in the world, and like I can just, oh, I can ignore this rule, I can break this rule, like,
See, yeah, that's I think that's how it used to be for me. Um, but at this point, because when I had my profitable period, it was like 2 years ago. So at that point, I was a little bit less emotional. So I think it literally, I was doing it in penny stocks. And penny stocks are like, it's just, to me, in my opinion, it's really like unreliable. It's inconsistent. So I think that it just literally stopped working because I had like hundreds of back tested trades, screenshots. So like I knew like it worked, and then it just month after month it just stopped working. I was like, man, this sucks. I just spent like 3 years putting all
I'm
this
always
away.
afraid that'll happen to me with my strategy.
Yeah, which honestly, that strategy I was doing in penny stocks, it probably is working now, or it's gonna start working again at some point. Uh, I just like it was months at that time where it wasn't working. And then I started getting more into TikTok and seeing other people do supply and demand and spy. And then I was like, okay, maybe it's time I go that way. And that like led me to trading spy, supply demand, and now trading ES and ICT concepts. Which, speaking of ICT, you trade his concepts, right? Oh no, you do supply and demand, but you're familiar with him, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've watched a lot of his videos though.
Do you have what's your opinion on ICT?
I mean, I have no problem with it, and I'm sure that all of his stuff works because like one thing I've noticed too is all the like if you look at like the funded trader when they're interviewing like funded traders, like so many or like ICT students, so many people on there, like there's so
Right.
many professional traders just thank ICT for his work. So I mean, obviously it's working, and you can go back and back test it, and he's so confident. If you watch his videos, he that man is so confident in his strategy. I mean, I have the highest respect for him. I mean, he is quote unquote like the godfather of like SMC. He calls himself like because I mean, I trade SMC like supply and demand. So technically, because his concepts really designed what I'm trading. If that
Yeah.
makes sense.
No, yeah, I respect him a lot too. He puts out a lot of value into the trading community. Uh, there's not a lot of things that I've heard him say that were like he's not really saying anything that's negative or bad or like he's positive. He's like most of the time he's positive if he's not ranting about stuff. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
I think a lot of people just see him and they hate on him for some reason, but they don't realize that like you said, you can backtest any strategy and see if it actually works or not. Um, whereas they just say, "Oh no, his strategy doesn't work." It's like even if it was like he's making stuff up, um, backtest it and like see if it works and confirm it. Like for me, I backtest his concepts and like they work. So I don't know where people really come from uh, saying that he's like fake. Um,
And sometimes people say like ICT is like a cult too. Like, I mean, I guess like we do like each other and we do kind of we're in like a clique, I guess. But like, I don't think all of us think we're better than any other trading strategy group. If that makes sense.
yeah, it's. I think it's the ones who they're like either negative, they have a negative mindset, or like they just if they're like someone that's in the trading community actively or they're posting, like they're not going to be someone that's hating on other traders. If they're just someone that watches people's videos and like comments, those are the people that are just like hating on other people, which I never understand. But that's just the world we live in. Do you have any other experience with like trading educators or like gurus, good or bad?
I mean, and like a long time ago when I first started, I bought signals from a couple of people that were like just random guys on Instagram that like are like no one now, like don't even do anything anymore. But like
Yeah.
recently though, I haven't really interacted with like any creators. Like I feel like there have been a couple people where like we've exchanged a couple DMs,
Yeah.
but that's about it.
Okay. Nice. So who did you learn from? Just a bunch of YouTube
I mean,
people?
yeah, honestly, every place in existence. I mean, I'm not recommending this, but I watched like almost every video on YouTube. I feel like I was just watching video after video after video. Just I thought more information was better, and eventually I feel like I just came across supply and demand, and the guy teaching it, I guess, like you know Doyle Exchange. You ever hear of him?
No.
He's on YouTube. Yeah, but he was saying like supply and demand works, but just focus on this one thing. And I was like, you know what, he's doing good. I'll listen to him. And then like I focused on it and I started seeing some results. And I was like, maybe he was right.
Yeah. Yeah. I think everyone goes through the same experience. They think more is better, and then they finally realize I need to focus on one thing. Um, so as a trader, most of us, at some point, especially if you've been trading for 5 years, you get to a point where it's you either have like self-doubt, you're going through a losing streak, you maybe feel like you want to quit or give up. Um, how did you overcome those things? Was it just knowing that there was something better for you at the other side and you just kept pushing, or what?
I guess. I mean, obviously, like this is like my life goal, my highest dream. It would make me happiest. But on the other side of that too, I almost feel like I kind of like giving up just isn't an option for me because like I have so much student debt. Like, because I went to an Ivy League school for 2.5 years, so like I have a lot of student debt, and like how am I gonna pay that back? You know what I mean? I feel like it would take me forever to pay back that debt unless I find some way to get a lot of income, and I can't find a good source of income besides this, in my opinion, that would work well for me.
Hmm. So what if, let's say the markets like disappeared tomorrow? What would you do? Trading was no longer an
I
option.
haven't really thought about that.
Yeah.
I mean, I do like working out. I'd probably start making content about working out. Because I actually used to do that a little bit when I first started posting content. It was like half working out, half trading. But I was like, nah.
Yeah, I
But
think
I'd
I saw that.
probably do some lifting content. Yeah.
And just
And then
go.
honestly, I might even talk about like food and like health, if that makes sense. Like, oh, how to cook this healthy meal, I guess. But I mean, for fun though, like what would I do? Or I guess for a job,
Yeah.
I actually don't know. I have to think about that.
I guess you just have to adapt when the
What would you do if you didn't trade?
that's literally we have such a similar mindset. My first thought also is like do something fitness or health related because like before when I was thinking about making content, I was like it was either fitness or trading, and I was like, okay, trading is like my biggest goal, so it makes sense to put all my energy into that. So that's why I did that. But if trading wasn't here, I would probably do something fitness related and health related also. I don't think I would go back to school. I don't think I would ever go back to school. Um, there's just so many.
Yeah, it'd be pretty hard for me to go back.
But speaking about like the markets disappearing, like how much would someone have to pay you to like never trade again? If someone offered you like $1 million or 100,000, here's 100,000, but you can never trade again.
I feel like it'd probably have to be like 5 million. Only because the way I say that is because let's say with five, I feel like at that point I could invest it in a certain way, like maybe in real estate or something where I could earn businesses or some way that I could just have a stream of cash
Yeah,
that I wouldn't have to worry about it. Because I mean that's the end goal of trading, just have a stream of cash that's easy to maintain.
right. That's interesting. That's a big number. I think it'd be different in like if it actually
I mean,
happened
yeah, on it.
versus like thinking about it. Because like
I mean, yeah,
like imagine like
but I guess 1 million though. Honestly,
yeah, it's a lot of money.
what were you saying?
Like imagine someone standing here with a
Yeah, 1 million is a lot of money.
yeah. Like I've never had that much money. I don't know about you. I'd be like I'd think about it but I think my number would also be higher because I think ultimately with trading I can make more than 1 million of through my whole
And inflation
life.
too.
Yeah, and like 1 million, I could invest it, and it would definitely like get me on a. No, 1 million would be enough to like get me on the right foot to do something else successful. But like at the end of the day, I want to be trading, so I think my number would also be like 5 million, 10 million. I don't know, 20 million.
Yeah. And on the point you were saying like you should have some other hobbies besides trading, I always thought like if let's say I do become successful at trading and I have this huge sum of cash, at that point in my life, I could just start exploring the world. I could try all these different things and I could see what makes me the happiest. And then I could be able to experience all these things without worrying about like finances. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's one of my goals. Like I think once I start seeing, once I'm consistently profitable, for like a couple months, making some sort of money. Like I think I want to take a couple. I don't know if a couple months, but maybe a month, and just travel. Maybe travel and trade like that. I think that's a big like that sounds so appealing to most people, especially young people. And that I think that would be awesome because that's like literally freedom at its highest. You don't need anything other than what do you need? You need a phone or a laptop with internet, and then you can just go wherever you want.
Yeah.
Um, so I think I definitely want to try that once I start seeing success. Um, so I don't know if you've been watching. This is kind of a selfish question for me. I don't know if you've been watching my TikToks, but like I'm on a 12 losing streak right now. Demo trading. Like I made a new plan. Um, because I realized after making some videos, like kind of exposing myself, getting a lot of hate. People were like, "Oh, you keep changing strategies. You're not, stick to one thing." I was like, "No, I'm sticking to my strategy." And then I really started to look more at it. I was like, "Oh, I'm not actually." Like I keep saying this will work out if I do it, but I don't do it because I'm like, I can make it a little bit better. Or I can increase the risk to reward or the win rate. So long story short, I started to finally like stick to a plan, with the strategy, and in back testing, it has like a 35% win rate, um, and the longest losing streak is like 11 trades. And right now, I've taken 16 trades, so my win rate's like 18%, I think. But I mean, it is a small sample size. Like it's only 16 trades. Um,
What's the risk to reward?
the risk to reward. So I'm actually like barely profitable. Surprisingly, I'm like up 4 points, which I mean, I'm break even. Um, but like I took four, three winners, three winners, and they all like had very large risk to reward. It was like over 1 to 3. One of them was 1 to 6. Because of that, like I'm break even after taking 12 losing trades in a row. Um, so I don't know. Yeah, what do you have any thoughts on that? Any advice? Like, do you think? Because to me personally, I think it's still within because it's such a small sample size, and because in back testing, I do often there is losing streaks, which kind of sucks, and I could look into that on a separate part. But I think it's still within like the what's the word I'm looking for? It's still within like what's acceptable, in my opinion. Although
Yeah, for
like
that small of a sample size.
yeah, but I mean, yeah, 12 in a row is a lot. Like I think that's like almost a skill. Like I don't know how that's, but like I see the trades and it's part of the plan and I just take it. So I'm just like, okay, I can't in my like the way I think about it is like I don't control if it's going to be a winner or a loser. It's just like I see the edge and I take it and it works or it doesn't. And it just happened to not work 12 times in a row. Yeah, I don't know. Do you have any advice or
Yeah.
what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too sure exactly like what strategy you're trading, but I mean, I remember I like you said, you were trying to get the like the optimal risk to reward and trying to make everything perfect. I mean, it could be possible that like I remember I was reading this thing, but it's called like overfitting, where you're pretty much over adapting your strategy based off of like past market data. So let's say if you traded off of 3 months and you were like, oh, during these 3 months, it's the highest probability to do this, but it could be not the highest probability. Like just during those 3 months, it looks like it's highest probability.
Yeah,
So like, I
Cherry.
mean,
I
yeah, and
think.
with me, when I get a sample size,
Uh-huh.
I try to go for like 50 or 100 trades. Like ideally 100 for one like session.
Okay. Yeah. I think. Yeah, I've heard of that too. I think it's called like cherry picking the data, and um, I tried to be aware of that, and I tried to. I think that's why. That's essentially why I wasn't following the plan strictly before, because I was always like cherry picking. I was like, this will be profitable, but it'll only be like slightly profitable. And because of that, I was like, I want more than that. When in reality, I'm not like profitable at all, so I should just do it and then maybe try and like adapt. But it's just crazy. Like sometimes we aren't able to like look outside of ourselves and be like and see what we're actually doing until someone else tells you, which I think is another good part of like making content.
Oh yeah, people are ruthless. They'll say anything.
Do you get a lot of? Do you have haters or not really?
Honestly, on TikTok, not too much. I feel like I post like occasionally like on YouTube. YouTube, I'm getting the worst comments. I feel like all these videos I post, every video I'm getting hate comments. I feel like
Really?
on
Are
YouTube
they?
at least,
Are you posting long form or like shorts?
short form.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I do post both on YouTube, but I feel like the short form though is what gets the hate.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
Someone called me the bedroom trader. He's like, I'm not taking any advice from the bedroom trader. I was like, damn, he's got a point.
someone for some reason there was one guy on Facebook just I get have a decent amount of haters, but like usually there's different levels to it, right? There's the haters that are like, they're hating because they're insecure or they don't think it's possible or they're just like they have self-doubt, so they like kind of shoot it out at other people. So they're like somewhat hating, just being negative and kind of just like, and there's the people that are just like go 100% just negative all in, like you're trash, like you're trading from your mom's basement, like go get a real job, like what are you doing, like kill yourself. It's like, and I just got consistently one guy on Facebook every single video would comment something like that. Oh, training from your mom's basement. Go get a job at Walmart. I heard they're hiring. I'm just like, what did I do to like? And it's just, I don't know if you follow Gary Vee, but he says like when you get hate comments,
Yeah.
um, like you almost have to not feel bad for them, but like give them some positivity, because like the amount of negativity they need to have in their head to post, to watch someone's video and post that on their video, especially if it's a video that like they're being transparent or they're trying to help others, you know, it's like they have to be going through some stuff. So like I just always try to be positive. Yeah, that was kind of a sidetrack. I think like the last question I have for you, unless if you have something else you want to talk about, um, what's like the number one piece of advice you have for traders? If you can only pick
I
one
guess the
thing.
number one piece of advice, yeah, like the number one piece of advice would be you got to decide if you actually want to do this. So like, I mean, it's okay if you don't want to be a day trader, but if you decide you want to be a day trader, like actually take it seriously. Put the correct work in. Don't just throw money around like sparingly and not thinking about it much, cuz if you're going to do it, you might as well do it right. Like you got to make that decision. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of people don't. They say they're, again, this goes back to like tracking if you're actually doing the work or not. They say they're doing it, but are you really? Are you actually? Do you have a plan? Are you just trading randomly? Um, yeah, that's a good piece of advice. Okay, well,
Yeah, just make that decision either way. Like it's okay if you want to do it, it's okay if you don't, but you got to choose one and go full into that path.
yeah, that's also a good point. Like you can, it's okay to not want to trade. It's okay to realize that like maybe this isn't for you, because chances are it's not. But um, that's just the harsh reality. So I just want to end by saying thank you for coming on, and like you were the first person to reach out to me. Like I don't think I finished posting the video on all the platforms yet, and you already messaged me. I was like, dang. So thank you for that. Like, thank you for having faith in me, because this is like episode one. You don't know if this is gonna be good or flop, or if like it's gonna be horrible. Um, so I appreciate you for reaching out and being the first guest, and also to everyone who was watching and watched all the way to the end. Like, I appreciate you guys. Um, if you found like any part of this valuable, got any sort of insight, all I ask is that you like and subscribe, and stay tuned for the next one.